All right. What? I'm not putting that in. All right. All right. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in again. And just want to say thank you for everyone who's been jumping to our vlog channel. It's really important to us. Okay. Just help us grow it. Be a part of the team. All right. The Loners team.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Hope you're having a pleasant day. Hope everything is going right for you. I hope that nothing negative has happened today that has ruined your day. And thank you for your time.
All right.
And especially thank you for watching our other channel.
Yes. So today we're going to do a video about why Europe doesn't build skyscrapers. And this is actually kind of interesting because we really don't ever see skyscrapers anywhere.
It's because the architecture is so much better.
The architecture in Europe, it highly surpasses stuff built here. But yeah, I'd say New York is the only one that kind of keeps it a little bit like that. But
which makes sense.
Yeah. But
and like other parts of the East Coast. But then New York has a shit ton of skyscrapers.
Yeah.
So,
maybe like Philadelphia and Boston probably. Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
But all right, let's begin.
Why aren't there many skyscrapers in Europe? Despite being one of the most developed, densely populated and economically prosperous continents, Europe has surprisingly few skyscrapers, particularly when compared to Asia and North America.
Yeah, it's true.
Of the 218 skyscrapers constructed on the continent to date, 66% of them are located in just 5 cities.
Wow.
London, Paris, Frankfurt, Moscow and Istanbul.
Okay, well, correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't there like a lot more like corporations in the places with skyscrapers? Not saying you have to have an ugly skyscraper to run a corporation, but like,
I mean, no. I think that's a right observation. I think.
Let's find out.
So, why have other major European cities not embraced the skyscraper? How do they thrive without the significant inner urban space and floor areas that these clever structures provide? And is everything about to change in our increasingly urbanized world? When skyscrapers first rose to prominence in the 19th century, first in Chicago and later in New York, many European cities were already firmly established, with grand historic buildings and public spaces that left little room for large new structures. Most of Europe's cities around that time were also more evenly zoned, and were not facing the high demand for floor space in key districts that typically drives high-rise development.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry to stop so soon, but it makes sense when you get like how would I say it? Like an abundance of people in one area. You're like, how can we just fit them all in? It's like build something up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because the ones he said. I mean, I wouldn't expect Turkey, but I guess Turkey does have a lot of skyscrapers. But London, I would imagine, yeah. But
additionally, as the power and influence of North America began to grow, a cultural rivalry emerged between Americans who saw Europe's class system as outdated, and Europeans who saw some American ideals as eroding traditions and the European way of life. As a result, each continent became wary of adopting the other's concepts. While North America aims to become the model for a new age, Europe sought to preserve its heritage.
Okay, well, if we're gonna create something new, can it at least look nice? Because skyscrapers are fucking ugly.
they're kind of like a...
Create a new style.
Like, it would be cool if they created newer buildings with some of the style, but of the old times, like of Europe.
Yeah.
But I know it's more expensive, I think, to make quality like that. It's cheaper to make like sky rises.
Right. I'm not saying it has to be the same thing as Europe. If anything, I don't think it should, because this is not Europe.
You're saying just make it look like
just
better than a skyscraper?
Something that is not ugly.
While this explains why skyscraper construction didn't initially catch on in Europe, it doesn't explain what has held the continent back since.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the wake of the Second World War, Many thought European cities would modernize and replicate the skyscrapers that were rising across North America. However, in Western Europe, where many cities lost landmark and historic structures, an overwhelming desire to restore what had been destroyed took hold. In addition,
that makes sense.
the lower
Yeah, it does.
population of Europe at that time meant that the demand for floor area that principally drives skyscraper construction wasn't there. As a result, modest structures replaced buildings that could not be saved or restored. Meanwhile, in Eastern Europe, the expanding Soviet Union's rebuild effort consisted largely of mid-rise repetitive structures that sought to rehouse much of the population. It was during this time that Europe saw its first skyscrapers begin to rise, not in response to growth and prosperity, but in an effort
Like,
by the
that still looks
Soviets
cool.
to
Warsaw.
indicate their
Yeah.
power and influence.
Well, yeah, they kept like the old-fashioned look.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was their own little touch. you
Even
know?
the other ones have like a cool design to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brusselsization.
While Brussels has never constructed a true skyscraper, it is partly responsible for the lack of skyscrapers across the continent.
Wow. How dare they?
Belgians.
Without any significant zoning regulations in place, the 1960s saw many buildings in the city demolished to make way for large, modern structures that had little regard for architectural or cultural value. Recognising the damage this indiscriminate redevelopment was doing to the city, many prominent figures and architects coined the term Brusselisation and lobbied to introduce new planning laws. These regulations significantly limited the scale of new buildings and required historic facades to be restored and incorporated into new developments, preserving the cultural fabric of the city. The row in Brussels led to a general dislike for modern buildings across Europe, with many seeing them as bland or soulless.
Yeah.
In response, numerous cities adopted similar regulations and set aside controlled districts, like Paris's La Défense, to keep high-rise development away from historic centres.
That's nice.
Not far enough. It's literally like right behind it.
I mean, when you're down
It
there,
kind
though,
of,
you
like,
wouldn't
takes
notice.
Away. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is what it is, you know. But, it just takes away from like why people go there.
Oh, from like the main center of attraction.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh,
There's some
there's some
boring
familiarity.
skyscrapers. Yeah.
It's not that deep, but it's just something to look at, I guess.
By the start of the 21st century, attitudes
Milan.
around tall buildings were softening across the continent, as architectural trends moved away from box-like structures towards more
Malmo.
unique designs, and as the world became increasingly globalized. Since the early 2000s, major financial centres like London, Paris, Moscow, Istanbul and Frankfurt have seen several skyscrapers rise, as demand for commercial space in their centres has increased. By contrast, smaller European cities that have been experiencing more modest growth have turned their focus to the environment
Oh,
and
nice.
improving living
Love
standards
that.
for citizens. In recent years, urban areas in Scandinavia and Central Europe have consistently ranked among the highest in the world for sustainability, happiness and well-being, while maintaining importance within their national economies. However, skyscraper construction in the cities of today is no longer driven purely by economic growth or the need for
I will say the skyscrapers in a lot of these other places in Europe, they look pretty like interesting. Like they look unique. They don't just look like a. All right.
Okay.
commercial office space. With 60% of the global human population set to be living in urban areas by 2030, residential
Damn.
skyscrapers are now rising in prominence, particularly across Asia and North America.
Yeah.
As many traditional rural-based industries become automated, millions are migrating into cities and major urban areas, driving significant demand for residential space that is often met with high-rise structures. Europe is not immune to this phenomenon, particularly in such a heavily globalized world, and with the continent's desire to keep up with the progress and economic growth of China and the US. As such, Europe could witness a skyscraper boom in the decades ahead.
That sucks.
However, with entire urban centres now being declared historically significant, and with the desire to retain as much culture and architecture as possible rightly holding strong up to the present day, the unique challenge facing future skyscraper construction in Europe is all to do with the past. If you enjoyed this video and would like to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, subscribe to the B1M.
All right. I like his voice. Why are you laughing?
His voice was like putting me to sleep. He sounds very wise.
Yeah, I know. When I hear
also,
that,
like,
when
it
I
was monotone kind of sounding.
no, I mean that wasn't.
It felt like school.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
But I mean,
I think it's cool how it seems like Europe really does make it a point to preserve its history.
they got some pride. That's for sure.
And not in a way where you shout like with flags and yelling it, but in a way that's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah.
I think we're too young to really have like something to be like that we're proud
That's
of.
what I was saying. I'm like, there's no point in like, I don't know. America's a melting pot. Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have diversity, all cultures. Not that a lot of people here welcome everyone, but like realistically, like there's nothing that would signify American culture on a building. And do not say an American flag. Okay, I'm talking about like
it would be that maybe like a
historical culture, like like I can't really.
Our history is like
pretty fucked
Super
up.
Bowl.
That's our history.
From like the
Throwing a
50s and the
pigskin
60s
around,
and
that's-
stuff. Yeah. I mean, kind of.
It's
Yeah.
just I don't know.
Yeah. But I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
very vanilla.
It's an interesting video. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Don't forget to jump over to the vlog channel. All right. We appreciate you guys. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.